welcome back to our grade 10 maths lessons. I'm Miss Awinup, your maths teacher. I'm sure you already know me, but let's move on. In our last lesson, we looked at the first three properties of logarithms, okay? Now we're still on logarithms, okay? But we are looking at properties 4, 5, and 6 today, all right? Logarithms. I missed out H. Very sorry, okay. Logarithms. Now, in the previous lesson, we looked at the first three properties. In today's lesson, the first property we are going to look at, okay, and like we did in our previous lesson, we will review the index rule first, all right, before we go into the logarithm law, all right. So, index rule number 4 states that any number that is raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Now with the log property, all right, let's just write this pretty quickly. So log property number 4 states that the log of 1, all right, with the same base, okay, with the same base is equal to 0, okay. So again, if you look at the index law, this is going reverse. A to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And when you take the log of 1, the answer is going to be 0. Okay? Now, index law number 5. All right? Index law number 5 states that a number raised to the power of 1 is equal to that number itself, okay? A number raised to the power of 1 is that number itself, okay? So log law number 5, all right? Now, log law number 5 states that if you take the log of A, all right, log of A, okay, with base A, right? If you take the log of A and the base is also A, then this is equal to 1, okay? Now let's write these laws here. We have it in words, but let's put this down in, state it in log form so that this is easy for you to see, okay? So we have log of 1 to base A is equal to 0, all right? Then here we have log of A here to the same base A, which will be equal to 1. All right? So these are the first laws number 4 and number 5. Now, index law number 6 is where we are looking at negative powers, okay? So let's look at index law number 5, 6. All right? Index law number 6, stating that a number raised to the power of a negative number, all right, is positive when you take its reciprocal, all right? So this is equal to 1 over A. That's the law of index when raised to the power of a negative number. Now, what about logarithms? Okay, so log property number 6. Okay, log property number 6 states that if you take the log of a fraction, then the index is negative. All right, so log of a fraction, okay, log of fraction, all right, with the same base is equal to a negative power, all right, negative power. Now again, let's rewrite this as a log statement so that we can see, all right, the log all right, of a fraction, let's say 1 over x, okay, to base a is equal to negative log, all right, negative index. Remember, any number in front of log, or we say the coefficient of log, is an index move from the power move from here to the front here to become coefficient of log, okay? So this is a power. If I take the log of a fraction, then the power is negative. So negative log of the number to base a, okay? Now, please do not worry. We are going to look at a couple of examples, and that should help us see how we apply these laws, okay? So let's move on to our examples and we'll see. All right. Example number 1. Now let's evaluate. Okay. Let's evaluate. We have log 6. All right. Sorry. Log of 6 to the power of negative 2 to base 6. All right. Now, if you look at this, remember property number 3. If you have an index here, you can move this to the front of log, so it becomes coefficient of log. So that's what we are going to do first. All right. Log of 6 to the power of negative 2 to base 6. All right. So take negative 2 across to the front. Negative 2 log 6. All right. Or to base 6. Now here you can see the base is 6 and the number here is 6. So property number 5, all right, states that log of a with the same base a, this will be equal to 1. Okay, it will be equal to 1. Therefore, this bit here, all right, let me just circle this so you know. Log 6 to base 6 becomes 1. So we write negative 2 times 1, and log is equal to negative 2. Okay, example number 1. So we have applied law number 5, but before we did that, we applied law number 3 where we moved the index to become coefficient of log. All right, so let's look at example number 2. Okay. And this time, let's look at index with a negative power. All right. Let's see log of 1 over 25. All right. 1 over 25 to base 5. All right. Now, if you look at this fraction here, go back to our laws. If you take the log of a fraction, then it becomes negative log of the number to the base. Okay, so we're going to work with these numbers here. Sorry, this is 125. Okay, so let's see, 1 over 125 simply means that this is the reciprocal of a number raised to a negative power. So let's take log 125 to the power of negative 1 to base 5. Okay, so we are applying this law here. Now, in order to get this, we are going to move negative 1 across to this side, and it becomes coefficient of log 5. So negative 1 log, all right, 125 to base 5. Okay, we're not done. What happens now? Instead of writing negative 1, we can simply write negative log 125 to base 5. So now we have to break 125 down so that we express it as a number with a base 5. All right? So negative log. How many times will 5 be raised to give us 125? That's 3 times, okay? So with base 5, we have 5 to the power of 3. 5 times 5, 25. 25 times 3 will give us 125, okay? Now what happens to this power here? We are still going to apply the law where the index is moved across to coefficient of log. So here, remember, negative is otherwise negative 1. So we have negative 1, okay, times, let's write negative 1 times 3. And we have log 5 to base 5. Okay, we have negative 3 log 5 to base 5. And again, we have law number 5 here where we have the base and the number are the same. So this is going to be equal to 1. So negative 3 is multiplied again by this term which is which is 1. So our final answer will be negative 3. Okay? Now, I know it may be tricky, but when we illustrate the law with an example, you can see where the logic is, okay? So here we have laws number 4, 5, and 6, and we have used examples where we are applying some of these laws. I hope you have learned something interesting today. This is our last lesson on logs. This is simply basics of logarithm, because when you get to grade 11, you are going to apply these laws to solve logarithm equations, okay? So that's a step further than what we are doing here. I hope you have enjoyed this time. In our next lesson, we are going to look at surds.